friends. How are you? I am doing very well. It's Friday, December 2nd, and I'm so excited to be back with another video. It's been a fun month. I'm so excited because I've been using Brian Blitzstitch's app to track my progress on my different projects that I've been working on, and it's working out so well. If you haven't tried Brian's app, it's called Cross Stitch. I'm gonna have to pull it up because that's just me. I'm not prepared. It's called Cross Stitch Journal. It looks like there's like a little app. I don't know if you can tell. I don't want to show all my apps on my phone, but anyway, it doesn't matter if I show you, but that's what it looks like right there. That's the icon. And it's tracking all my progress. So every time I start stitching, I start the timer. And then when I'm done stitching, I stop the timer. And sometimes I'll actually record multiple sessions in a day because, and if I stop because I'm gonna go look something up because I'm watching Flosstube and I get enabled or inspired, as people like to say, inspired, not enabled, then a lot of times I'll pause or I'll stop my timer, go look up whatever it is that I'm super excited about that I've seen on someone's Flosstube channel and put it in my cart. Not purchase it, sometimes purchase it, not purchase some. Anyway, you know how that goes. You sometimes want to buy it and you end up buying it, but sometimes you wait. And anyway, it's Friday night. It's actually in the evening and it's been a week. I'm going to be all over the place. So if this type of scattered video is something you don't like, all I can do is warn you, it's going to be like this probably the whole time. So, but the app has helped me be very organized. I'm absolutely amazed by how much stitching I actually get done. I think to myself, wow, I didn't really get that much stitching time. And then I look back at the number of hours that I've put in. I'm like, wow, I got more stitching time than I thought I did. So love the app. Can't recommend it highly enough. Sorry, my phone just dinged. I'm gonna silence it right now so I don't get interrupted. There, I don't want to be interrupted again. Okay, so gonna jump into my progress for the month of November. And since we're in December, I've pretty much got the whole month of November that I haven't talked about. So I'm gonna give you a monthly update. And I'm gonna open the app and you'll see, well, you won't see, I'll see in the app that I worked on 5 projects in November, and I'll show you the first one. The app tells me everything. It tells me what I worked on. It tells me how many days I worked on it. It tells me how much time I spent on it, which I don't know if I'm going to tell you because it does seem a little scary how many hours I actually did put in. Days. We'll go with days, and then you won't be quite so surprised, probably, because I didn't stitch the whole month because I had stuff that came up. I'll do a personal update at the end so you don't have to listen to it right now. I've already rambled long enough and I haven't even shown you anything yet. So first thing I worked on for one day in November is my Stitch an Inch fall pattern, which I'll show to you. I have it here. It's in a bag. I'll mute the zipper. Pull it out of the bag so you can see it without too much glare. This is Stitch an Inch Fall by the Bay Needle Arts, but it's a computer generated mock-up, which is kind of hard to tell what it's going to look like. You can either stitch it as one great big long 1 inch tall piece, like 7 parts all stitched together as one scene, or you can stitch as individual 1 inch by 1 inch, I guess whatever you want. You can make them magnets or pins or whatever you want them to be. I'm doing it as this whole scene, all 7 parts stitched as one scene. And worked on it for one day. I do believe it was a weekend. So I'll show you where it was before. And I'll show you where it's at now. This is what I got done. So see if I can get some good lighting. You can see where it's at. Oh my goodness. I just showed that to you upside down. Why didn't you tell me that? Okay, here we go. I was looking at it going like, why can't I figure out how this, why is this not, okay, yeah, anyway. This is what it looks like. It's got the house, it's got, I'm not sure, have I even stitched anything more on this since the last video? I wonder if I showed this in my last video. Something's telling me, because I remember talking about this little sheep, or maybe that was on Instagram. I don't know. The little sheep, this is supposed to be a little sheep. It's like a little blob right there. It's supposed to be a sheep, if it'll focus. Anyway, it kind of looks like a sheep if you use your imagination from a distance, because I'm not very good at backstitching on 28 count. But this is 28 count, 1/1, full cross. The pattern says to do half stitch or tent stitch. I'm doing a full cross 1/1 on 28 count, and I like that. But it is really just 1 inch. I mean, look how tiny that is. I think there's a lot of detail for having such a tiny design. I just dropped my project bag. Hold on. Okay. So that's where that one is at. I think I did pretty good for one day. I think, you know what though? I think I actually might have done 1 day in 1 or 2 days in the end of October. So that might be more than a day. But anyway. Then I put that one away and pulled out my Dimensions Gold Collection Santa stamp. And this is what it looks like. I did this as a giveaway. I had an extra kit and I did it as a giveaway at the end of my last video to one lucky winner. Haven't heard back from the winner yet. She was in Australia, so I don't know if she has received it yet. I hope so, or hope it's going to be there really soon because I mailed it out pretty quickly after my video. So hopefully, if you haven't gotten it yet, I hope you're going to get it soon. But I just love this design. It's so colorful, so pretty. I love that one. And I did, let me see, going to check my cross stitch journal app, see how many days I worked on that one. Looks like I worked on that one for 4 days. I'm going to put a picture of what it looked like before I started stitching on it. So the last time that I worked on it, I'll show you where I left off. And then I'll show you where I'm at now. I have some hanging threads, so you'll have to ignore the hanging threads. But I finished the top corner up here. I finished this top corner. And I'm not seeing what you're seeing because I'm putting a picture in and I forget where I left off last time. I'm pretty sure that I did not have any of the, I had some random stitching in here, but I ended up finishing the whole corner, and then I started working up here and working on the border, the stamp border. So usually I have a little bit more tension. It's wrinkly right now when you're looking at it, but I usually have tension on it like this because I do like it to be very tight when I work on it. I can't stitch in hand because I like tight tension. That's just me. But anyway, one day I'm gonna master working in hand. I've been watching so many people that do it, and I'm gonna figure it out someday, and I'm gonna be happy with the result. Whenever I stitch in hand and I look at my stitches, I feel like they look so messy. So just gonna have to find something to practice on. But so that's where this one's at. I don't have the back stitching done yet, other than just a little bit here in the doll's hood. I just decided I'm gonna wait and do some back stitching a little bit later. So that's where that one's at. I'm really happy with the progress because that was only 4 days from the last time I worked on it. I think that was pretty good 4-day progress. I wonder if I can see how many, maybe I should look and see how many hours that is. That's kind of funny because now I'm curious. 12 hours. That's pretty good for 12 hours, I think. I'm a bit of a slow stitcher because I get distracted easily. Like if there's something on TV or if someone texts me, then I'll respond to a text, or so I get a little bit distracted. But 4 days, 12 hours, about 3 hours per day average. So pretty good progress, I think. The next one I worked on, I was starting to feel a calling to work on another winter design, not necessarily Christmas, but winter. So I also wanted to start working on a full coverage that I started a long time ago. When I say a long time, actually it's not that long ago. It was like maybe 2017. So it's like 4 or 5 years. So not that long. Okay, I exaggerate. I always exaggerate. But it's been a while because I have whips that go back to like the 90s. We won't get into that, but I am planning to maybe do a whip parade and show all of my projects, like everything. There's got to be over 80 whips now. There's definitely over 80 whips now. So I'm thinking at the end of the year or beginning of January that I'll do a whip parade of everything. I've only ever done full coverage, fancy ladies, dimensions kits, parades. I haven't shown you like all the other things that I've worked on that I have as whips. There's a bunch of other stuff I've never shown. So I'm thinking I might do that. If you want me to do that, let me know. If you don't want me to do that, let me know. No, don't let me know. Let me know if you want me to do it. Okay, we'll go with that. So back to what I was saying is I pulled out a full coverage that I started back in I think it was 2017 or 2018. I saw Crafty Gaming Jamie working on this one. It's a Randall Spangler design from Heaven and Earth Designs. And I'll show you a picture of what it looks like. It's called Home is Where the Magic Is. It's a mini. It's not the full-size version. It's a mini version. But this is what it looks like. So it's a snow-covered house. It's a beautiful Victorian-style house with the little draglings are here on the walkway, and it's just really pretty. So I don't remember where I was when I picked it up, how much I had done on it, but I'm super happy. I'm going to show you where it was when I first picked it up and started working on it. And then I can show you where it is now. I am now over 33% done on this. This is where I'm at now. And I love this little fairy up in the corner. I think the moon looks really cool. Those were already there. I didn't work on those. But what I did was I was starting to work in a diagonal to fill everything in from this top corner and just like start a diagonal to fill everything in. So I had like maybe 80 or more hanging threads here. And I got so annoyed with those hanging threads that I parked. So what I did was I started here at the bottom and I started working them all in and just started finishing them off. So I went wherever the stitches took me on the chart. So I'm not really working in a diagonal anymore. This is one that sometimes I work on it where I'm like, I pick a thread and then I'm gonna do cross country and then I get bored with that. And then I think, okay, well, I'm gonna just like do diagonal and just do like 10 by 10 blocks diagonally. And then I get bored with that. And then I start parking and then I get bored with it. This is when I just do whatever I want. Whenever I pick it up to stitch on it, I just do whatever I want on it. Like if I want to do diagonals or park or whatever. And that's kind of how I roll. I don't know. I get bored so easy on, I just don't do the same stitching style every time. But anyway, what I like is that you can see the peak here on the house. You can see now there's a chimney. You can see this peak here filling in, and yeah, it's coming along really nicely. I love it so much. This one's really fun to work on. This is a little different from my other projects also because I started it on 28 count, and I don't typically like 28 count. It's the reason why I don't pick this one up very often, because I don't like working 1/1 full cross on 28 even wave. But I don't know, this time I didn't mind working on it. So I ended up working on it. Let me check my app. Thank you so much, Brian, for your app. I worked on Home is Where the Magic Is. I worked on it for 10 days. I think that's pretty good. And in those 10 days, it spanned a couple of weekends. I don't know if I should tell you. I worked on it 39.8 hours over 10 days. I will also tell you that I had a lot of time. My kids were away. Didn't have Puppy, my daughter's dog. Like things were kind of feeling kind of like normal during those 10 days. So I felt like I was, like every evening I was like, I'm just gonna stitch tonight. And I really kind of ignored some of the other stuff I probably should have been doing, like dusting and vacuuming and stuff. So I don't normally have 40 hours over 10 days to do stitching, but I did. And that's why I got so much done on this one. So I think I have a stitch count on this one too. I'm gonna look at stitches, because that's another thing that this app tracks. I'm talking so fast. Slow down. I stitched 4,521 stitches over those 10 days. So that's an average of 452 stitches per day. I think that's really good. That's really good average for me, especially since some of those days were work days. So I think that's all I have to say about that one. Honestly. I'm all over the place. Really. I warned you. I warned you. This was going to be a thing. All right, so that's that one. And moving along, the next thing I pulled out was, okay, so I started watching, have you guys seen Fiber Arts Amy? Amy has done so far a series of 4 videos where she's going through her entire Mirabilia stash, like all of the projects that she's kitted up, all the Mirabilias, just Mirabilias, and a couple of lavender and lace. She's going through, like, she's got projects in every room of her house and her cabin. She's going through all of them. There must be 100. There has to be 100. I don't know how many she's gone through. And she's not done yet. I think she's still got another video to do. And I was watching it, and so I was like, well, I gotta pull out a Mirabilia if I'm watching all these Mirabilia videos. Do you think I could get much stitching done? No. No. Because I was so busy watching and seeing all the beautiful projects that Amy has kitted up, and all the beautiful fabrics, and all of the silks, and all of the beads, and everything. I'm a little disappointed in myself. I really didn't get much done, but I worked on Sabrina, which is a project that I'm doing as a collaboration with Suki the Brown-Eyed Stitcher, and I'm doing Sabrina and she's doing Sabrina. We're doing it on the same fabric. I'm doing mine with beads, and I'm doing the regular 2 strands over 2 fabric threads on linen for the skin. She's doing a version of this with 1/1 skin and no beads. She's actually just, so we're trying to see what it looks like. I'm a big proponent of people who don't like beads. Don't stitch with beads if you don't like beads. You don't have to. And so when we were talking, she was like, well, let's do it together and we'll do a side-by-side comparison. And you can see that Mirabilias are just as beautiful without beads as they are with beads. You can stitch a DMC color. You can stitch DMC with, I think she's doing some type of a blended filament or something that's sparkly with hers to just give it a little pop of color of like the shimmer, and since it's not a bead that she's stitching with. But eventually we're both going to get these done, and we're going to meet in person, and we're going to hold them up side by side, and you'll see that they are so beautiful. So if you don't like stitching with beads, and that's what's held you off from stitching a Mirabilia, don't let beads scare you off. You don't have to use beads on it if you don't want to. So, but I did not get very much stitched on this when I picked it up because I was watching Amy's videos. Amy, I'm so enabled to go out and start kitting up all my Mirabilias and starting them all. I want to start them all because I see all the ones that you started and they're so pretty. There's so many beautiful fabrics. If you haven't, seriously, go check out her videos. You will be just, I mean, it's hours, like several hours of videos to just like enjoy and see all the amazing Mirabilia goodness. It's wonderful. But I didn't get very much done. Reality is, this is where she's at, and I put a picture already of where she was the last time, I think, or I'm doing that right now as I'm editing. But this is what I have done, and these flowers here I did not in November. I did them, I think I don't know if I have a picture of where it was the last time, but I have done these flowers here since the last time. This is all beaded in here. This is a 17-inch by 17-inch Q-snap, by the way, which is why I'm beading as I go, because I have a Q-snap that's big enough that there's going to be still some dress over here that is outside beyond the boundary of the 17 by 17, but that's okay. I'm going to come back and do that later. I'll figure out a way to do it without having to worry about. Aren't those beautiful? There's Karen water lilies in here and the flowers. I love that. But like I said, this was stitched before November. I just don't know if I've shown it in my video before. All I did was right here. Just this little stem and that little bit. That's it. That's all I did when I picked it up a few days ago. So, but I love this. I really do love this design. I think she's going to be stunning when she's done. The fabric here is Picture This Plus Sprite. It's a 28 count linen, and I'm stitching it two threads over two strands over 2 threads on the linen. And the reason I chose a 28 count was because the hand-dyed linens often shrink in the dyeing process. I know most of you already know that, but for anyone who might be watching who doesn't know. So that's why I go with that, because by the time it's shrunk a little bit, it's probably closer to a 30 count. And if I went with a 32 count hand-dyed and that shrunk, it would probably be closer to a 34 count, and then the beads would be really annoying to try and fit on. I don't want to deal with that. So when I'm putting the beads on, I'm actually using a matching strand of DMC floss to put them on, and I'm doing it with a half cross. When I did Roses of Provence, or Provence, or however you want to say it, Roses of Provence, when I finished that one, I did all of the beading at the end, and I used the invisible thread. I don't like working with the invisible thread. I've decided I'm not going to do that anymore. It's too hard to work with. The other thing I did with it was I used a full cross. So I basically would come up and put the bead on and do a half cross, go back down through the thread or through the fabric, come back up just like I'm doing a full cross stitch, come back up in the bottom corner, and then go back through the bead again and go back down. It took a little extra time to do that, and it made the beads sit horizontally. If you only do a half cross stitch with your bead, it sits on a diagonal. What I find is that if you do it as a diagonal, the beads are a lot easier to shift around and to fit into a smaller space than if you have them with a full cross sitting completely horizontally or vertically, or however you want to say it, but it's basically sitting upright versus on the diagonal. I like the beads on the diagonal, which I used to do. I don't know why I changed it when I did Roses of Provence, but for some reason I did a full cross with it with the invisible thread, and both of those techniques I will not do again. So this I'm doing with a half stitch. So for example, these beads right here, they're black beads. I used a strand of 310 DMC black, and I don't think you can tell that I think all you see is the bead, and they're sitting on a diagonal, and I think they look beautiful. So that's how I'll probably continue to do beading going forward. No offense to anyone who uses the invisible thread. I mean, a lot of people use it. A lot of people think it's great. I found it really hard to work with because I couldn't find it. Like my eyes visually, I could not, like it would get lost, and it would get just, it was just getting tangly and anyway, that's what happened. So that's my progress on that one. And like I said, I only picked it up for one day. I think it was only one day. And I don't track the number of stitches on that one. I don't count. The only time I count stitches is for projects where it's easy, like if I'm using Pattern Keeper on a full coverage. Yeah, I only picked that up for one day. I just did that one little bit of flower up in the corner. So that was the next one I worked on. And then the last one that I worked on, which I still have it on my frame. I took it off the frame so I can show you, but it was a new start, and it's called Red's Resting Place. And so far I've worked on it for 2 days. So Wednesday night and Thursday night this week. I started on Wednesday. And this is what it looks like. And this is a pattern. It's not necessarily one that I would normally pick to stitch myself, but my dad really likes antique red trucks. He loves He loves the red truck. Like, he likes the winter scenes that have the red truck. So when I showed him a few patterns that, because he asked me last year, he's like, if you ever stitch something for me, I'd love for you to stitch me a red truck, an antique red truck. But I don't want it to have snow, and I don't want it to have a tree in the back, and I don't want it to have dogs. And I'm like, well, that's like 99% of the patterns, because that's what people are stitching, is like the red truck with the dogs and the tree and the winter. Anyway, I found this one, and I found a few others, and I showed him, and he really liked this one. So this, because it reminds him, he grew up on a farm, and so this kind of reminds him of the old barn and the truck. And anyway, that's why I decided to stitch this one. It's not for me, it's a gift. And I thought I'd better get a start on it. So that's the one I started. And I'll show you where I'm at. Not very much, just the top corner. Usually I start in the top left-hand corner. This one I started in the top right-hand corner for some reason. But this is the peak of the barn and the trees that are off to the side. And this is really fun to stitch on this pattern. It's a Stoney Creek pattern, but it has huge blocks of stitches. So you can do the block stitching where, you know, you just thread your needle and there's not a lot of confetti, at least not so far. I think this is going to be a really easy one to stitch on when I'm tired, if my brain is just like, I just need something easy. This one so far has been really good. And the fabric is, it's a 1/4 yard of 28 count Legacy Lugana from Picture This Plus. I got it on 123stitch.com, and I don't think I've used this one before, Legacy, but I really like it. It's a hand-dyed, obviously, but I really like the modeling in it. I think it would be a really good neutral for any type of, what am I thinking? Like a sampler, or anyway, I don't think this was necessarily the called for. Maybe it was. I'm not seeing what, no, it said it was done on 28 count vintage country mocha in the model. But anyway, I like this one. I thought this one was really pretty. I like the modeling in it. So that's how far I got on that one. And I think that's all I worked on, 5 projects. And like I said, I worked on that one for 2 days. So if you've been tallying, which I'm not a math person, so I'm not expecting you probably tallied it either. But what you'll know is that I worked, let's see, 2 days on that one. 10 days on Home Is Where the Magic Is. 1 day on Sabrina, that's 13 days. That's 17 days with 4 days on Santa Stamp. And 1 day on Stitch and Inch Fall. So that's only 18 days out of the month that I stitched. So the reason for that is because I took a very last minute trip up to Canada. I live in St. Louis, Missouri. It's where me and my husband live. We brought our kids up here. My parents live in Canada, so that's where I'm from. And I went to visit my parents. Like I said, it was last minute. So I'll talk more about it in my life update, but that's the reason why I didn't get more stitching done. I only did the 18 days because I was away. I had a few days where I got home from work late or just was too tired to stitch. So, but I think it's good progress for 18 days, 18 out of 30 days. So almost 2/3 of the month. I think it's pretty good. I'm happy with the progress. I do have a few purchases and I can show you those. Let's see, I'm gonna move a couple things here first so that I have a little bit more space. I don't have a huge room here. I don't have a lot of like table space where I can spread stuff out. So I have a rocking chair next to me here, and that's where I have stuff stacked up. But I was able to get the most recent release of Mirabilia, which is Portrait Queen, MD 184. So that one I ordered and it came in. I also ordered the bead pack that comes with it. There's a decent number of beads in this one. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 7 packs of beads. One of them is a double. There's also some Karen water lilies that I ordered, and some Krynic braids. So I decided to go ahead and get everything for this project except for the fabric. Although I do have some fabrics that I think she would look really good on. So I just haven't decided which one I'm going to do her on yet. But I'll get her kitted up. I'm going to try and start kitting up all of the new Mirabilia releases and getting the Krynex and the beads and the Carom water lilies and anything that's specialty that goes with it. Because one thing that I heard on one of Amy's videos, and I think I might have heard it from Luda when she was filming her videos, is that some of the Mill Hill beads, the, which ones are they? The Magnifica beads are no longer going to be manufactured, or they're not going to be released by Mill Hill. I don't know the whole story there, but I keep thinking, like, if I don't kit the stuff up when the stuff is available, then if I come back and do it later, I'm not very good with substituting. I'm not very good with color matching. I'm not very good with picking stuff out to replace supplies that are no longer available. So I'm going to try and kit up any new releases that come out for Mirabilia as soon as they come out, just so that I have it. And again, not the fabric. I'm not so worried about the fabric. I think I can find fabrics okay. That's still an area I'm learning, but I feel more comfortable doing that than trying to figure out how do I replace a number 12 sized Magnifica bead with what? I don't know. That's like a whole separate research project that I'm just not ready to start. So let's see. I got the bead pack, the embellishment pack for tea, which was released a while back. Just what is it? MD 182. That's not the most. What was 183? I can't even remember what 183 was. I know that I bought it, but I don't remember what it was. I don't remember. I'll probably pop a picture in here because I can't remember what it was. But anyway, got the bead pack for tea because I really like that one. I think that's going to be a really fun one to do. Definitely higher up on my list to do than some of the other ones. And I also got, as part of this pack, there is some Carom water lilies and Krynex that go with tea. I got everything that goes with portrait, queen, and tea. So those are good to go. One of my travel pieces that I did, I said I didn't do any stitching while I was traveling up to Canada, but I actually did pull out this small kit, and I got very little done on it. It was something that I worked on in the airport because I had a 5-hour layover in Toronto. And I thought, well, let me just have something to work on while I'm there. Didn't really feel like stitching that much. I don't know. You think you're going to stitch, and then you travel, and then you're like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to get that much done. And I didn't stitch when I was at my parents'. I just visited with them, but I got a really small start. So this is the kit, and I just took it along just to get it started, but that's all I have done on it, just the front of the truck. And this was one of the ones that I picked up, and I showed it to my dad. I was like, oh, look, here's one with a red truck. And he was like, oh, yeah, that's all right. It's got a tree in it, and it looks like winter. Oh, that's right. You don't want anything with a tree and snow in it with a red truck. So anyway, that's when he helped me figure out what pattern that he liked. And I ordered it, and it came in and was here when I got back from my trip. So I guess technically I worked on 6 projects in November, but I don't count that one. It's really not that much that I got done. Then I ordered, okay, this is something that I was enabled to buy from Amanda, who is Lucky Chance Stitcher. I ended up getting from the French Amazon website. It's from Mango Editions. It's called Promenade dans les Bois. And I'm not super great at French, but I did study it a little bit. Growing up, I was in a province of Canada that was bilingual, so French was something that was required, but I'm not bilingual. Anyway, this is such a cute, it's a cross-stitch journal agenda for 2023, and it has a whole bunch of patterns in it. I'm not even sure if I can show you because it doesn't show the finished pieces. It just shows, I don't know if I can show you. Maybe I can just like flip really quickly, but it's like, it shows the pattern, and I'm not going to show you everything, but there's, for every week of the year, there are these gorgeous, amazing patterns, and the designer, let's see if I can find her name. If I can't come up with her name, I'll put it on the screen, but she has a website, and I was absolutely inspired. Won't say enabled. I don't know. Some people don't like the word enabled. I was inspired to go and get this book because it has the most beautiful patterns in it. And I don't even know what they look like completed. It's just, you can look at the charts and you can see the charts and see the detail. And they're gorgeous. I mean, look at this, the bear with the honeycomb in the background. I mean, it's so pretty. And I can't even show you everything. But anyway, this is what it is. If you're interested, you can get it on Amazon on the France. So it's amazon.fr. Or if you have the Amazon app, you can change it to, you can change the country settings and you can change it to France. And it took a couple of weeks to come in, but this is what the back looks like. Yeah, so highly recommend this. It is so pretty. I mean, look at the front cover. I mean, look at that with the treehouse. There's so much detail, and it's not really a huge design, but it has tons of detail in it. Like the little animals. Look at the little animals, the little squirrels in the tree, and the little. They're just so sweet. Like sweet. That's all I can use to describe every pattern in here. I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. So got that. Let's see, what else did I get? I got, okay, another inspiration from Amanda, Lucky Chance Stitcher. I have officially become a fan of Joan Elliott designs. And I always looked at them and thought, nope, I don't really like the Joan Elliott designs. And I never really gave them too much consideration. But I did find a couple to start with, and now the more I go back and look at Joan Elliott's designs, I'm like, oh, I love that one too. Oh, I love that one too. There's a Victorian Christmas lady design. I didn't buy it yet, but it's in my shopping cart on 123stitch. Like, the more now that I look at them, now I'm like all about Joan Elliott. So, not sure why I wasn't before, but two designs that I did get that I am going to start. This first one is Moon Dance. I think she's gorgeous. I ordered some fabric, not what was on the model stitch, but I ordered something very similar to this from 123stitch, and it's on back order. So it didn't come with the shipment, but it's on back order. So hopefully the fabric will come soon, because this is one of the ones I wanted to start right away. However, I ordered another one, and it's called Princess of the Snows. And now I think this is the one I want to start. So I'm going to start this one in December, this month, because it's Princess of the Snows. So even though it's not technically a Christmas design, it reminds me of Christmas, like winter months, and I think this is the one I'm going to start. I also got all the beads, because there's beads in both of these designs. So I got all the beads that go with both designs, and I got the Krynics that go with both designs. And you can see a difference here, which is interesting. I think it was Amy in her video where she was talking about the spools now that Krynic is using to deliver the threads. They look like there's not a whole lot on them, and I was looking at mine, I was like, you're right, like, because they're using these bigger spools because they can't find this, or they can't supply the smaller ones. Sorry for my hangnails. This dry winter weather is making my fingers all messed up, but anyway, you can see in this one though, like, look at that. Look, it looks like it's like it doesn't have a whole lot on the spool, but oh well. I know there's I'm sure they're delivering the amount that they say they're delivering on it. They just don't have the smaller spools right now. But anyway, I am on lots of tangents. So beads and Krynic for both of those designs. And okay, this is where I might need some help. Because like I said, I'm not the best at picking fabrics. I'm getting better at it, but I'm not 100%. So I think I need some help. I got 4 Pull Stitches Designs fabrics. I have a couple that I've narrowed it down to that I'm going to do the Princess of the Snows. Sorry for all the plastic rattling. I've narrowed it down to a couple of fabrics that I'm going to do her on, and I'm not sure which one I should do. So I'm kind of looking for some advice on that from you. First, I'll show you the fabrics that I got. I got a 1/4 yard of 28 count Brittany Lugana in the color Imagination. And I'm going to leave it in the fabric or in the plastic right now, just because don't feel like pulling them all out. There's 4. I got 4 different fabrics and I just don't feel like pulling them out. I'm sorry. But hopefully you can get an idea of what the color is. So this is Imagination. This is not one that I have in line for the Princess of the Snows, but I wanted to show it to you anyway. I think it's really pretty. Another one that I got, also not in line for Princess of the Snows, but it's called Shipwreck. And it's also a 28 count Brittany Lugana from Pull Stitches. And this one I think would be really pretty for a mermaid, like one of the smaller Mirabilia mermaids. I think you can see okay. Hopefully not too much glare, but that's a pretty good likeness of the color. Okay, these are the 2 that I'm not sure between. And maybe I should take them out of the fabric. One of them is called, it's a 28 count Brittany Lugana from Pull Stitches. It's called Cracked Ice. I'm pulling this one out, but I'm trying to mute the sound of the plastic. All right, so this is Cracked Ice. Is it showing up very well? Hopefully it's showing up. I think it's a really pretty one. It's mostly blues and whites, if you can tell. To me, this looks like a really pretty wintry scene. It almost looks like you could see it as like sky and snow blended, almost like a snowstorm. And I think that would be really pretty to do this design on. So that's the first one. And then the second one that I got is a 32 count Murano Lugana called Dawn Chorus. This one also has blues in it. Hold on. This one also has blues in it, but it also has these beautiful pinks and purple tones in it, which is probably a lot like the design. And this is actually a 1/2 yard piece. But this is what this one would look like with that design. So a lot like the design where it has the blues and the pinks and the whites. But what do you guys think? Do you think I should do the one that's more just the blue and white where it looks like sky and snow? Or do you think I should do the one that has the pinks and purples, kind of like what's in the pattern in the mock-up model stitch? I can't decide. I think this one's really pretty too. Every time I compare, I put the pattern up against both of them and I really can't decide. So if you can help me, I would really appreciate it. Leave a comment, let me know what you think. I'm so bad with this stuff, with picking fabrics. I try, but sometimes I think maybe I'm just not very good at it. So that's it. That's the Joan Elliott stuff, rabbit hole that I went down. And then the last thing that I got were some fabrics from Color and Cotton. I go out to their website quite a bit to look for anything that's ready to ship. I'm really not very lucky. I think I don't go out there often enough to find fabrics when they're posted, and by the time I get out there, there's really just not a whole lot to choose from. But this time I got kind of lucky. So I was specifically in my mind thinking like, I'm gonna go check Color and Cotton's website. I really want to get some green fabrics. Any kind of greens. I don't have a whole lot of green stash. I have tons of lavender and purple and blues and pinks, and like I have a whole lot of like princess colors. I want to say princess unicorn type colors, but I don't have a whole lot of colors like greens or neutrals or green neutrals or natural neutrals that I think would be really nice for some of the smaller Nora Corbett patterns. So I was specifically looking for that, and when I went to the Color and Cotton website, that they had so many. I was like, oh my gosh, it's like Christmas. So I ordered a few, and they're here in St. Louis, by the way, Color and Cotton. And so when they do their one-day shipping, like it's literally one day. Like I ordered it on Wednesday and it came Thursday. So it's really nice. If you haven't looked at their website, go check them out. Color and Cotton. I love their fabrics. This one, I'm pulling it out of the plastic. I'm sorry if it made noise. This one is a 32 count linen. It's a 1/4 yard. And it's called Spring Meadow. Look at that. Isn't that so pretty? I don't know if you're going to be able to see exactly, but oh, it's so pretty in person. I don't know if the video is going to even do it justice, but it looks like a spring meadow. It looks like there should be all kinds of flowers or colorful flowers on this fabric. Like it's a valley or a meadow, or yeah, it's true to what the label says. Spring Meadow is exactly what it looks like. The next one that I got is called Aloe. It's a 32 count Belfast. And aloe is, it definitely looks like an aloe color, like a light green. It's not a mint green. It's a very bright, light green. And I don't think this is going to really show it the way it is, but yeah, it's not a good likeness, but it's a really light, vibrant green. And I thought some of Nora Corbett's fairies would look really pretty on this. The smaller fairies that she has, or even a Mirabilia, like a smaller one. So that's this one. The next one is, this is so nice. One thing that Color and Cotton does that is so sweet, they also threw in, it's like 2 of their hand-dyed threads, and they put a little label that says a gift for you. And the 2 colors that they put in are Winterberry and Castle Garden. These are the 2 colors. Very holiday, festive, right? You've got like kind of like a red and a green. It's like for Christmas. That was so sweet that they threw those into my order. Very, very pretty. And the fabric, sorry, it fell. This is a 1/2 yard of 32 count Belfast, and it's called Nantucket. It's a gorgeous neutral. You could go any way with this one. You could do a sampler on it, but you could also do a fairy on it. You could do a Mirabilia. You could do, I mean, it is a beautiful light green neutral, but not too vibrant. It's very, very neutral, and yet you can definitely tell that it's the greener tones, but it's more of a neutral green. As opposed to the aloe, let me see if I can hold it up next to it, you can see the difference. So the aloe is definitely very light and bright, and the Spring Meadow is also more green, definitely more green and a little darker. So that's the difference between the 3 greens, the 3 green fabrics that I got. I don't know if that's helpful or not. I don't know. I'm just showing them. I'm just like holding them up and showing. So now the 4th fabric that I got is not green, but I couldn't resist. I saw it and I was like, I have to have that. And it's a 28 count Lugana. It's a 1/4 yard. And the color is called Candyland. Isn't that so pretty? I don't know. I don't have too many bright fabrics, but I had to have this one. I'm like, there's definitely something I could put on this. I could put like a polar bear or peppermint candy cane kind of thing on it. You could put a fairy or a rose petal fairy, or I mean, I loved it. So when I saw that it was available, I'm like, yep, that's mine. And I like both the linens and The Luganas, I like both. I'm not really too particular. I know a lot of people are like, I only do linen. I'm like, well, I'll do whatever. I do Aida. I love Aida, especially the Dimensions kits come with Aida, and most of those are full coverage. And the Dimension Gold collection kits are full coverage, so it doesn't really need to have a specialty fabric. Aida works just fine. So, and I like the look of it. Which reminds me, when I was visiting my parents in Canada, they had two of the projects that I completed before I got married. They had them hanging on their wall in their living room. So I'm going to pop in some pictures of two of the, because I don't have that many completed projects anymore. I used to gift everything. Everything I stitched, I gifted it. I gave it away. I have friends that I gave it to. I have distant relatives I made stuff for weddings, and like all kinds of people have my stitched items, and I kept very few of my whips that I've ever worked on, which I'm not sad about. Like I don't regret that I gave them as gifts, but I know that I wished now that I had kept a lot more of my stitched pieces, because I think some of the recipients maybe didn't value how much time goes into a stitched piece. Like, you guys know, how many hours you put in to a project, and I don't think they all really maybe valued it. But again, no regrets. But right now, most of the stuff that I stitch and I'm keeping it for myself, because it's that time. It's time for me to stitch for me. But anyway, two of the projects I gave to my parents one was when I was, how old was I? 20? I think when I was 20, it was a Paula Vaughn design. It was from her Quilts for All Seasons. Is it Quilts for All Seasons? Where it has the 12 months of quilts. I did the February, and so that's the first picture I'm popping in here to show you is that completed design. I had it framed and I gave it to them for Christmas one year. And the reason I gave that one is because my mom loved that rocking chair with the quilt on it, and they have a rocking chair. They've always had a rocking chair in their kitchen, and when people come over, and like their kitchen is a place where people come and spend time visiting, and the rocking chair just seems to be one of those central items in their house that, like, they just have always had a rocking chair in the kitchen, and people come and they sit in it and they rock in it and they drink their tea and they chat and they talk. And so anyway, that's why the rocking chair with the quilt, my mom liked that one so much, so I made that for her when I was 20. And the other one is it's a pattern called Lacy. There's actually a set of two. There's a little girl with a goose, and there's a boy. And my mom had the pattern of the girl, Lacy, with the goose, and she always had that in her collection, and she always said, oh, I really want to stitch that someday, but she just never got around to it. So when I was in high school, I remembered that she was like, oh, I really wish that I could stitch that, but I just don't have time. And she's like, maybe someday you'll stitch that for me. So I pulled it out of her collection when I was in high school. I pulled it out of her patterns and I stitched on it and worked on it when I was in high school, and I made it for her and had it framed. And so those are the two pieces that they have, and she always has them hanging in her living room. She has her own works that she's done hanging in her living room. She did more needlepoint when she was, like, when she first got married, and then when I was little. So when she had little kids, she worked on needlepoint, not so much cross stitch. She works on cross stitch now, and she has over the years kind of gone between the two. But anyway, so she has them hanging in her house, and I thought while I was home that I would take pictures of those and show them to you, because like I said, I don't have a lot of the finishes from earlier in my stitching, but those two are still accessible for me to show you. So I think that's it. I did hear some great news today. I had so many of you who reached out and was like, did you hear the great news? Did you hear the wonderful news? It's amazing news. So Color and Cotton has announced today that they are going to be opening a cross-stitch storefront here in St. Louis, Missouri. I mean, look, I'm so happy, because you've heard me say in so many of my videos, like, oh, I don't have a local cross-stitch store. And recently Stitch Etc. opened in Farmington, Missouri. That's about an hour and a half from me. Still haven't made it down there. I know Proper Stitcher is going to be there tomorrow, Saturday, December 3rd. She's announced she was going to be there from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. They're doing ornament finishes. I don't think I can make it. I don't think I can actually get there tomorrow for several reasons, just logistics and other family commitments tomorrow. So I was hoping I could go on December 3rd and be there, but I'm not going to be able to go. But I do plan to get there eventually. I'm going to get down there eventually. But Color and Cotton is opening one right here in St. Louis. And it's going to be where they've described the location of where their storefront is going to be is not very far from where I live. So I was telling my husband about it when I got home from work today, and I was like, we might have to set up overdraft protection on our checking account because I'm going to have a local cross-stitch store soon. They're opening in February 2023. They're going to carry their own fabrics, Color and Cotton fabrics, their flosses that they do them, they're overdyed flosses, but they're also going to carry other lines as well, full patterns and accessories and notions and beads and like all the things. So it's going to be a full storefront. It's not just their fabrics and their threads, but that is going to be like a foundational part of their inventory is obviously like their fabrics and threads because that's what they do. But it's going to be a full cross stitch local. I was going to say local LNS. I'm like, well, that's redundant because L stands for local. It's going to be a full LNS store with all the things. And I'm so excited. It was almost like Christmas today. It was like the biggest gift, especially with all of you who reached out and were like, did you hear the news? Did you hear the news? This is amazing. And I was like, so excited. So that is coming. If you live anywhere near the St. Louis area, even if you don't live near the St. Louis area, you have to come when they open. They're going to have a grand opening. If you can make it, if you can come, I think it's going to be amazing. The ladies who work, who run Color and Cotton are so nice. They're so, every interaction I've had with them, whether it was customer service with finding out about the wait list because they have their monthly fabric clubs, which I'm still on the wait list for, and it's been a couple of years, and once in a while, every 6 months or so, I'll check and say, hey, are you going to have openings soon? And they're like, oh, hopefully soon. And like, they're just so popular. Obviously, I'll stay on the wait list as long as it takes. But now I'll be able to just go to the store and see the fabrics in person, pick them out. Like, oh. And I haven't tried too many of the threads yet, but that's going to be a whole other experience. Now I'll be able to try the threads, and I'll show you guys, and then I'll inspire you to go on their website and order their stuff if you're not local. Anyway, super excited about that. Let's see. Very short life update. I've already really gotten into it. Very last minute trip I took up to visit my parents. There's a bit of a health issue with one of my family members, and so it was one of those decisions where you just make the call and you say, yep, it's time to go up. I need to get up and visit my family. Anyway, I'm not going to get into too many personal details, but yeah, there's some health concerns with one of my family members. So anyway, that's one of the hard parts about living far away from family. I try to get back as often as I can, but it's a long drive. I've driven it before. It's a really long drive, like 32 hours each way. So I've only done that like 3 or 4 times, and flying takes all day to get there, and that takes all day to get back. Not that it's not worth it. It's absolutely worth it. It's just sometimes hard to get the time off from work. That's really the constraint that I have, is I still work full time. But anyway, I was really glad. I just said, just gonna do it. I took the time off work, and I was like, if they don't let me go, it's too bad. I'm just gonna go anyway. And of course they were very accommodating, and I had the PTO available, so they said, sure, go ahead. And so it was nice. My brother went home too, which was also really nice because we haven't been home together at the same time for quite a while. So that was really nice to catch up with him and all of us to be together for a visit. So there was that, which is why I didn't stitch the whole month. And the other big news, which some of you who know me and maybe have watched some of my other videos know, that I have some challenges with my job, my current job. It's a fairly new job. I had just switched to a new job at the beginning of or middle of July, and very quickly found out that it might not be the best fit for me. And if you want to know why, you can watch older videos. I'm not going to rehash it here, but I'll just say it has not gotten better, and there have been even more incidents that my jaw just hits the floor. Like, I can't believe you just said that. Anyway, my manager, he's very different. I'll just say that. I'm not going to be critical, but it's not working out. However, today's been like the best day ever. I've been pursuing different opportunities, and some of them have worked, like sounded like they were going to work out and then fizzled, and then others were like, oh, it's not the right. Anyway, you know what it's like if you work and you're job searching. You know what that's like. You have opportunities, you open the door and the doors close, or you close the doors. But there was one particular opportunity that I was really excited about. Somebody that I know who was like, you have to come work for me. I was like, okay, that'd be great, but didn't really put, you know, people say things, and sometimes you don't hear anything more about it. But that was back in September where we started having conversations, and I got a job offer today, officially. So I accepted verbally. I don't have a job offer in hand, but anyway, I'm very excited about that. It is the ideal job for me. Like, if you wrapped up all of the skills that I have and all of the experience that I've had over the last, let's say, 25 years of my career, it's like the job description was created for me, which, like, it's everything that I am passionate about and everything that I think I do fairly well. So just needed to have some patience. I'm not working for my friend who was wanting me to work for her. I'm actually working for one of her counterparts, who is also amazing. But I don't know if I should really talk too much about that. I don't think there's any way my current manager would know anything about my cross-stitch channel. He's not someone who would watch cross-stitch channels or know anything about the fact that I have one. So I don't think I'm like jinxing myself by saying that, because I'm not going to give notice right away, because I'm not going to start at the new job until January. So I'll keep working hard, and you know, I'm not one who's just going to be like, oh well, I'm going to quit so I don't care anymore. I'm not like that. I work hard at what I do, and I'll keep working hard. And it's holidays coming up, so it's not going to be a super busy time. So yeah, just going to enjoy the month of December, knowing that I don't have to deal with too much more verbal abuse for much longer. And whenever I hear stuff, I can just smile, and in my mind I'm like, I don't have to listen to this much longer. Yay. So anyway, I think that's it. I think it's been a good day. It's been a really challenging month, just for reasons I already talked about, but every day is a new day. Every day is, we have to make the best of every day that we have, because we only have today. Can't change yesterday, and we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. All we have is today. So I would encourage all of you to make today the best day that it can possibly be. Look for any opportunity to be kind to others. Look for any opportunity to find joy in the little things. Look for joy in everything. And I will probably come back at the end of the year, or maybe early January, with an update on December stitching. Like I said, maybe I'll do it in December. Maybe I'll do a year-end whip parade and show you everything. It's kind of embarrassing because it's a lot, but not as many whips as a lot of you have. I know a lot of you watch and you're like, I have so many more whips than you. And I'm like, I know. I don't want to get there either, because I got to finish some of the stuff that I have. But one thing I mentioned in my last video is that I was going to do no new starts in 2023. Like, I think I said no starts for me in 2023, and I was going to do hashtag. That's already gone out the door. I'm actually planning some starts. I bought 2 new patterns from Heaven and Earth Designs. They just had a recent sale for Thanksgiving here in the US, and I'll put pictures in of what I got. I should have done this earlier in the video. I don't know if many people are still watching at this point. But I got one, and I'll put the name of it and The design, I don't have the names of it like right off the top of my head, but it's a moose with a scene and it's a circle. I think it's called Adirondack Moose. So pretty. Sally Smith, I think she's the artist. I'll put that on the screen as well, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, I have to have that. So I got that one. And the other one that I got is one that I was inspired from Suki, the Brown-Eyed Stitcher. She's doing a start in February. I think it's for her birthday. Correct me if I'm wrong, Suki. But she has a wall. She's creating this Lord of the Rings wall where she has like 4 or 5 different projects that she's going to have eventually on her Lord of the Rings wall. And one of them, it's called, what is it called? Like Home in the Mountains, but it's actually Rivendell, but that's not the name of the pattern. The name of the pattern is Home in the Mountains or something like that. And I ordered the regular size one. There's 3 different sizes. There's small, medium, and regular, I think. I got the regular one because that's the biggest one and it has the most detail and it has the blended threads. So I used some tricks that Suki mentioned in one of her videos on how to get a discount on it anyway, she's the guru on how to get patterns. But that's the one that she's going to start in February. There's a whole bunch of people who are going to start it in February. And anyway, I decided to jump on the bandwagon. I'm going to start that one with them because I think it's really pretty. And I do like Lord of the Rings. I don't think I'm like hardcore. Like I'm not going to have a whole wall of Lord of the Rings. Like Suki, like she's got like the world map. She's got her Frodo and Galadriel that she's working on. She's got plans. Like she's just got plans. But anyway, I think Rivendell is going to be really pretty. So I think that's it. I think that's everything. I think now that's everything. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I try to reply to everything. I sometimes miss things. If I miss something, just keep pinging me. Eventually I'll see it. I'll reply to it. Let me know what you think about which fabric I should do for the Joan Elliott, the lady, was it Princess of the Snows? Yeah, Princess of the Snows. And I hope you have a wonderful stitching week, month, day. And I will talk to you next time. Bye, everyone.